I remember when I bought my first house, I made so many mistakes. And that's why I'm making this video for you guys today. Today we're going to be going over the top 9 first-time home buyer mistakes that I see happen all the time. What's up everybody, my name is Grant, and this channel is all about what it's like to live, buy, sell, and invest in real estate in the Tampa Bay area. I am a local real estate agent in the area, and I've been able to help hundreds of families over the past few years buy and sell and invest in the area. So if you're interested in making a move, don't hesitate to reach out. My information will be linked down below, and we can set up a call, and then we can decide whether or not it might make sense for us to work together. Without further ado, let's jump right into this video. Mistake number 1 is going to be seeing houses before you're actually qualified. I'm sure that's probably the first thing that comes up every time you search up how to buy a house. First thing that you need to do. Biggest mistakes that first-time home buyers make all the time, and honestly, that's going to be one of the biggest ones I'm seeing, because if you don't get qualified before you start seeing houses, then you could just potentially be wasting your time and everybody else's. If you don't know from a lender if you're actually qualified or not, then you should not be going about showing homes or looking at homes with an agent. The last thing you want to do is end up finding a house that you love, you want to make an offer on it, and then you go to a lender and then learn that you're finally not qualified. So that's going to be one of the first things that you need to do, and that's one of the biggest mistakes you could make. Mistake number 2 is looking for a unicorn. And what I mean by that is looking for something that is not realistic. For example, you cannot be looking for that perfect 3-bed, 2-bath pool home under, let's say, $300,000, which right now in the area, in my area, in the Tampa Bay area, that is going to be very, very hard to find. Unless it's in shambles or maybe needs a lot of upgrades, there are very few areas around the Tampa Bay area that you can find a home with those qualifications. You need to make sure whatever your qualifications are and what you're looking for, you have realistic standards, as well as being realistic within terms of price. If you're qualified up to a certain amount purchase price wise, you should be looking right around that range and under. You shouldn't be looking at homes hundreds of thousands of dollars more, hoping that they are going to drop their price or that you can make a lowball bid. You have to be realistic. Mistake number 3 is using the listing agent to represent you. And funny enough, I did that myself on my very first purchase before I ended up becoming a licensed real estate agent and starting my own real estate team in the Tampa Bay area. I ended up using the listing agent to help me buy my first house. I thought I would get some type of advantage, whether that be in negotiations or they're just going to like me better because hopefully they can get more commission. And boy, I was wrong about practically everything. There were little to no help overall with everything that I was doing. And something that you'll learn the hard way sometimes is that the agent, if you decide to work with the listing agent directly without your own representation, that agent does not represent you. Even though you can negotiate with them and try to negotiate in your favor, at the end of the day, they do not represent you. They're in favor of the seller, and they are working for the seller at the end of the day. And they're going to do whatever is in the best interest of the seller. And you always have to remember that. You're going to want to work directly with a buyer's agent that can be on your side, that can easily explain, fill out, and help you write up your contract, your offers, so you clearly understand exactly what is going on. Mistake number 4 is going to be looking at the home's online valuation too much. I'm sure you go online, you can go onto Zillow right now, Trulia.com, any real estate consumer website, and you're gonna see a little button that's gonna say the estimated home value. And I cannot tell you how inaccurate those numbers usually are. That can give you a rough estimate overall, but you really have to look into the real data. Whether you're looking to buy a property for a lot lower value or higher value, I almost never look at that value overall because it has become unreliable overall. And I'm sure you've seen it yourself. Maybe if you own a home or are thinking about buying a home, the home could be priced at $500,000, but the Zestimate says it's only $300,000, or the Zestimate says it's really worth $700,000, right? They have become so unreliable, and that's simply because they just look at the general data. They cannot factor in any actual upgrades that you've done to the home in that area specifically, or your extra lot size compared to the natural square footage, or what is specifically going on in that community, whether there be new construction or new development overall, which is increasing the values. What the numbers will do, which will give it a basic algorithm, is essentially just find all the properties in the area and figure out what the average price per square footage is of all the homes right there in that area, and then they're just going to throw some random number out there, which may or may not be true. So at the end of the day, you're always going to want to look at the actual comps in the area. And what you can do by that is simply just go on whatever site you're using or ask your agent to do it. But you're going to go on whatever site usually and just look at all the homes that have sold within your area, within a mile radius, maybe even less, maybe 0.5 to 2.25 miles. And just see all the homes that have sold in that area, and then narrow it down to the most similar homes to yours that you're interested in buying. And then that is going to give you your best bet in overall price value of the home. If you're enjoying this content so far, make sure you like down below, subscribe for more weekly content just like this, and comment down below. Let me know what you think is the worst mistake when making a real estate purchase. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Mistake number 5 is expecting your home value to increase. You can never bet that your home value, once you buy your property, is just going to go up. You can't guarantee that at all. So you never want to just buy a property willy-nilly knowing that the property values have gone up. Yes, the values have gone up drastically, almost over 100% in the past 5 years, with it being 2023 right now. So over the past 5 years, almost double in value, but you cannot guarantee that every single year. We've had a major boom in the last 5 years, but that's not something you want to rely on. What you're going to want to do is make sure that you buy the home slightly under market value, so you know that if you fixed it up that the prices would go up, as well as you can put your own sweat equity into the property and fix it up as you go. So essentially you're just going to find something in a decent area, up and coming area. You can buy it slightly under market value. Hopefully everything is original but functional, and then slowly upgrade the items that you need over time and put that sweat equity into it yourself and actually take care of a lot of it yourself. You'll learn a lot by doing that, and your home value is going to increase. That's going to be the best bet for you if you're looking to increase that home value and make a good purchase. But overall, you're never going to want to just rely on the market to keep going up. That's why you want to buy a little bit below value and hopefully put some sweat equity into it to increase that value. Mistake number 6 is going to be underestimating your expenses. Now, this happens almost every single time. I don't think I've ever met a buyer and had an initial consultation with them and then let them know how much it would actually cost them to buy the home. Unfortunately, lenders do not do a great job explaining these numbers directly to them, which it makes sense because, once they have access to your bank account, they know how much money you actually have, so they know what you can afford. So oftentimes they don't do a great job explaining what the closing costs are going to be. Yes, you clearly can understand what 5% of the purchase price is, but you don't have narrowed down what all the closing costs are going to be, and that's going to be another 2 to 3% of whatever the purchase price is. And that is what oftentimes the buyers are not aware of or understand. So not only on top of whatever their agreed upon down payment is with their lender, but there's going to be another 2 to 3% in cost overall, which is going to range from 6 months prepaid in taxes, a year's worth of home insurance up front, all of your lending fees, your title fees, as well as your property survey, including the cost of your appraisal and the cost to do an inspection up front. Also not including, even though this can or cannot technically be included in your cost, but knowing that within the first week of going under contract, you're going to have to submit your escrow deposit and pay for the inspection period, which means you're going to potentially have to have anywhere from $1,000 to $10,000 up front ready to go, depending on what purchase price you're working within. But unfortunately, all that I said just now is not a very clear thing that's talked about in the lending industry. Of course, if you ask, they'll be able to explain, but they don't end up wasting a lot of their time trying to explain too many things to clients when honestly, they have no idea if this buyer is ever actually going to do anything, because that's not what they're doing. They're just getting them qualified. Make sure when you end up working with a lender that you have a clear cost estimate analysis showing a breakdown of what you're expected to actually pay cash to close at the end of the day. Mistake number 7, and I see this all the time, and this is probably one of the second worst mistakes I can see. Not the worst yet, but the second worst is going to be feeling rushed. You never want to make a purchase decision because you feel rushed, whether it be you're trying to time the market correctly, or you feel like you're going to lose out on the interest rates because they're going up or going down. You never want to make a decision because you feel like you are going to miss out on something. The FOMO, the fear of missing out on something. And that's one of the worst things you can do in regards to making a decision to buy a house, because you're basing it off of emotion and not necessarily facts. And mistake number 8, which is going to be one of the biggest mistakes, if not the biggest mistake that I've ever seen a home buyer make, and it's the fallacy that renting is throwing away money. Yes, I know we're talking about the biggest first-time home buyer mistakes, but so many home buyers, they think that they need to buy a house. They need to buy a house right now because they're wasting all of their money on their rent, which may technically be true. The truth is, it really depends on your situation and placement in life, as well as your income, to see if it actually makes sense for you to buy a house. Because there are many situations to where it may make a lot more sense for you to actually rent versus buy. But what you can do instead of buying a place for yourself specifically is buying a property to rent out, or buying a property to potentially flip in the long run, right? Or buy, hold, and then flip within a few years from now. So the idea that rent is throwing away money is not necessarily true, as long as your funds are moving towards your investment dreams. A great example right now between you and me is that if you had $20,000 right now, today, and you're working I'm gonna say a minimum wage job or a very low wage job, like $10 an hour, enough to pay the bills, maybe you have a roommate, whatever, and you have $20,000 saved up because you've been saving your money up, and now you're telling yourself, I have $20,000, I could easily buy a house, which you for sure could with that amount of money. $20,000 could get you in a house pretty easily. Should I buy a house with that $20,000? And then you're gonna have a property in which hopefully that property will grow over time in equity, but that money is not going to be used or touched for years. But it will work out in the long run. It always does. Statistically, financially, it's always gonna work out at the end of the day, as well as you're always going to want to be able to control an asset, especially if you can, for just $20,000, control a $300,000 to $400,000 asset. That's amazing. But in this situation, let's say that's option 1. Option 2 is that you're making very minimum income, but you have $20,000 and you have the idea to start a business. You have an idea to invest in yourself to make that leap because you feel like you can bet on yourself. I would say if those were your 2 options, then you go ahead and bet on yourself, because that $20,000 you put into a house, you're not gonna see a return on that for years, if not any time at all. There are certain people that I'm talking to right now that probably feel the exact same way. They feel like I could do something, I could start a business with just $20,000. I got my real estate license, started my own real estate team eventually, but I got my own real estate license. It cost me around $1,200 plus another $800 and a few other things I was trying to get. So overall, it cost me $2,000 to start this business overall. There are so many businesses that you can start, grow, and run with $20,000. You could easily start your own car detailing company, your own lawn care company, your own pressure washing company, your own handyman company, I don't know, whatever you're into, whatever you feel like you would be good at. And to be able to take that $20,000, start your own business, and potentially grow to double your income if you're making a minimum wage job, which should be very, very possible, I would say go ahead and do that, because it may make a lot more sense to just continue renting where you're at, put that money towards yourself, invest in yourself, bet on yourself, and then eventually over time, once you start to increase your income, then of course go back and buy yourself a house. Of course, you're gonna wanna buy as many houses as you can for the rest of your life. Houses are always gonna be there, but what you can do to help increase your chances is make sure you try to double up on that income overall. And that's probably going to be one of the best things that you can do. So if you have the two options to either focus on yourself, invest in yourself, try to make more income, or spend all the income that you have into a house without planning to, potentially increase your income one way or another, I would go with trying to start your own business or trying to invest in yourself some way or another. I hope that helped you guys. If you enjoyed the content, make sure you like and subscribe for more weekly content just like this. And again, I am a local real estate agent in the Tampa Bay area, so if you are interested in making the move, don't hesitate to reach out. My information will be linked down below, and I will see you in the next video.